Okay, so we're going to do a video to help us get ready for the STAAR test. And this particular video is the most important because, and that's a terrible circle right there, it is over when we can use graphs in the calculator. And this is absolutely huge to passing the STAAR test. So if even though I'm gonna have videos over these right here where we plug into regular calculator, which is important, and we're gonna do reading graphs, which also uses a little bit of graphs, but it's a lot of just reading graphs. And these are all important. And then of course we'll have some over these right here. This right here is probably one of the most important. It's just huge to passing the STAAR test. And so knowing how to use your calculator, when you can use your calculator. So you need to make sure that you understand how to do this one concept. So you can use graphs, okay? So we can use graphs in our calculator anytime we see any of these situations. Now, today we're really going to see a lot of these two and this one. I don't think we'll see this one today, but it is in the attributes one. So you will see it if you're watching these videos. The key to this is understanding that any time that you see any of these situations, you do not type in this part right here. So you will not type in y equals, you will not type in f of x equals, or g of x, or h of x, or whatever two letters they put together. And then you won't type in equals 0. So you only type in what comes after the equal sign, or in this case, what's before the equal sign. Of course, when there is no equal sign, then it's pretty easy. You just type in what you see. But on these right here, we want to make sure you understand that, yes, we can type these under graphs, but we don't type these things in. We type in everything else. All right, so let's get started and see what this looks like. So first off, one of the big things as you're going through these is we want to know, what is it that we see? Okay, what will you be seeing that tells you, hey, I can put this in the calculator. I can, I know what I'm doing here. And so this right here is what tells you what we're seeing. And of course, you'll see the arrows pointing to the different stuff. And so when we see a graph with equations down here, that combination, now it could even be reversed. The equations could be in the problem, the graphs could be in the answers. But when we see that combination, we know we're just matching. And so what we're going to do is to type these into graphs and see which one looks like this right here. So we're going to go to graphs, go home. So we're going to click on graphs, and we're going to start typing these in. Now remember, we don't type in the y equals. So we're going to hit fraction bar, 1 over 3x minus, and control fraction, 2 over 3. So we'll hit enter. And right off the bat, so there's three things that we're looking to match here. One is the slope, the direction the line is going. This is going up. Mine in the graph is going down. So this definitely does not match. Now, the easiest thing to do is to hit tab and to go up, and instead of deleting all this, notice a lot of the times these will use the same numbers. They'll just change little things, like they just change this to a plus. And so we can go change this to a plus and see, does this change anything? Nope, it's still a positive slope. This is a negative slope, so nope, that's not going to work. This did fit one thing. It doesn't matter, but the other thing we're looking at is, where does it cross the x and the y? This actually did cross the x-axis in the correct spot, but it didn't cross the y-axis. So you're going to have kind of three things that you're going to be looking at, and we really need them all to match in order to work. So it looks like C is going to have a negative in front of both of those. So we'll go minus sign there. And just a reminder, we always hit the minus sign, not the negative sign. So minus sign there. Hit enter. Okay, so first off, I like the direction of this. This is going downhill. This is going downhill. So this crosses at -2. You can tell by the -10, this is the negative side. So -1, -2 looks good. And then it never makes it to -1 right there, okay? So it's in between 0 and -1. Hey, that looks like that matches. And so if all those key things match, then this is your answer. And like I said, all you're doing is matching. They never really put it to where it's so close that like it would cross there and it would cross, you know, just a little bit above or a little bit below. It's usually pretty obvious. So if you look at it and you can tell it crossed there and you can tell that it's in between 0 and 1, that's close enough. All right, number 2. All right, so what are we seeing here? Well, I see an equation that we can type into graphs in the problem, and then I'm seeing an equation that we can type in the answers. So whenever this happens, what we're going to do is we're going to type in the equation in the problem first. And I want you to notice what the color is. Okay, and you'll see this here in a second. Then we're going to type in the equations and the answers. We're looking for the one that goes right on top, and what it will do is it will change the color of the original. Okay, and so that's what we'll be looking for. So let's go take a look. So let's go to graphs. And we're going to type in the original problem. So -3 parentheses x minus 1, close parentheses, squared. You do have to make sure you type this in right. Usually if there's a mistake, it's because we forget something. And so make sure you type it in right. So we hit enter. All right, so this is orange. And so I've got to pay attention to the color. When this is no longer orange, when I don't see this orange line anymore, then I've found my answer. But as long as I see my orange line, then I haven't found my answer. So you may get another thing that's right beside it. Doesn't matter. If it's, as long as I see this orange right here, then I have not found my answer. All right, so now we're going to type this in. Now I got to keep this orange, so I'm not going to go up and edit it. I need to keep this because this is what I'm looking for. So we're going to type this in, -3x squared plus 6x plus 1. Now, before I hit enter, I'm going to get my eyes looking at the orange, hit enter, and you can see it switched to brown or black or something, but the orange is definitely gone. And so this is going to be my answer right here. Something that I can also let you see that you can do. If you go back up, so this is what we just typed in, you can see this brown right here. And then if you go up again, it's orange. And so you can kind of see how they're right on top of each other. Okay? And so that's what we're looking for. The one that's on top matches, and this is my answer right here. Okay? All right, so here's another one where we see a graph. Well, it's 2 lines. So we see 2 graph lines, but we also see 2 equations. So all we're doing is typing these in and matching. And so we'll go start a brand new graph. Always start a brand new graph. And I'll start with 2x plus 2. Now, I could go ahead and type in the second one, but I always like to type in 1 and then see, does this match anything? Well, I see this goes through 2 on the y-axis, like it does right there. The problem is this is kind of a flat line right here. This seems like it's going up a lot quicker than what this one is. And so right off the bat, I'm not thinking that this is going to match. Now, if you can't see that, if you're not sure, then yeah, go ahead and type this in. But I don't think that this 2x plus 2 is going to work, which means it wouldn't work here. And so now let's go type this 1/2 x plus 2 in. So we're going to hit tab, go up, and let's change this. We don't want to keep this one. And all we got to do is change this 2 to a 1/2, and then it matches this one right here. So we're going to go 1/2, hit enter. Okay, so that right there does, it's a lot more flatter, just like this one right here, still going through 2. So I kind of like that. All right, so let's type in the second one. So we're going to hit tab, -x plus 1, hit enter. All right, so this is going the wrong direction. So both of these should be going upwards. This is going down, so that's not it. So let's see if we can change this to C, which means we're just going to get rid of that negative right there. So we're going to hit tab, maybe, tab, oh, tab, okay, go up, and then delete that, hit enter. And okay, so that right there looks almost exactly like the picture. Now, it may not match perfectly because you can see this is going up to 10, this is only going up to 6. And so, it may not be, completely like this line right here goes a lot further than what this one does. But in general, this part right here does appear to match. We can see it crosses the y at 2 and 1. You can see it 2 and 1. It looks like it intersects at 2 up 3. And if I go over 2, up 1, 2, 3, so yeah, I would say that that's my answer. And like I said, usually they don't make these so close that you're like, oh, I don't know, it could be, it's just barely off. If it's pretty close, that's probably your answer. Okay. So this is interesting. So when you think about all the different ways that we saw where we could plug it into graphs, most everything had equal signs. But there was one thing, the very last one, that said no equal sign. Well, this is our no equal sign. I call it an almost equation. It looks like an equation, but it's missing an equal sign. And then down here we have almost equations. And so just like when we had one a couple problems back where it had an equation here, and these were all equations, we found the color and of the original one, and then when we typed in our answers, we saw which one made it change colors. Okay, so this is the exact same thing, it's just this was without an equal sign. Now there is one little thing that I do want to kind of point out to you. I want you to kind of notice that these have parentheses. And a lot of times these are talking about factors, and when they have parentheses, it should go right on top. And then on the next one, when there's no parentheses, then you'll see how that's a little bit different. So I just wanted to stress that real quick. All right, so we're going to go in, and I know this takes a little bit of time, but it's worth it if you're going to pass the STAAR test. So we got x squared plus 3x minus 18. So we're going to hit enter there. And I want you to notice the color. This is black. We're not hitting menu 5.1 because we're not looking for anything. We're going to be typing these in and see which one goes on top. So I got this. I need to see what's going to make these black lines disappear. So we're going to hit tab, and we're going to type in parentheses x minus 6, close parentheses. You got to type it in exactly how it looks. That means yes, you got to use the parentheses. All right, so we type that in, we hit enter, and I see a pink line over here. And even the pink line doesn't matter. What matters is I continue to see my black line. As long as I see this black line, I have not found my answer. Now, I don't want to keep this pink line right here, so we're going to go up and edit it. And so it looks like I can switch this to a plus and make it look like G. So we hit enter. Oh, that was a little bit closer. So I get a lot of kids at this point that are like, look, it kind of matches. It doesn't matter. I still see the black line. That's all we care about as long as we see this black line. So we're going to hit tab, go up. It looks like I can go change this to a plus. And, okay, nope, that's not it. And so we're going to hit tab, and we are going to go up, and looks like this last one. A lot of kids at this point would just say that this is the answer, but what if we typed in something wrong? So make sure, so watch this black line, and let's see if it turns pink, and it did. And so when that black line disappears and it changes color, then you know you found your answer. And if you're really good at your calculator, you can get through these problems very, very quickly. So that's why it's important that you're constantly practicing this on the calculator, because it makes it go quicker. All right. So once again, we have something that is almost an equation. So there's no equal sign here. It kind of looks like an equation. These are almost equations, but there's one little difference here. Okay? If you remember in the other one, there were parentheses, and there were 2 of them. This one doesn't have any parentheses. And so this one is actually not going to go right on top. It's not going to change the color. Notice over here I don't say anything about finding the color. So how will we know when we got our answers here? Well, right here it says the answer will have the same x-intercept as the original. So we're going to type this in and we're going to see where it crosses the x-axis. So we're going to go, and I want you to notice that these are A's, but we don't use A's in the calculator, we use X's. So we're going to go 9x squared minus 25. And we're going to look to see where this is crossing. Now, I don't know exactly where that's crossing, and I don't need to go find it. We could, but we don't need to. We just need to know that when I type in these answers right here, the one that becomes our solution is the one that has the same x-intercept. So let's hit tab, and let's type in 3x. I'm typing in A plus 5. Okay, so we're typing in this one right here. We're going to hit enter. All right, look at that. They both cross the x-axis right here at the same spot. So A is the answer. So really quick, I want to show you something that is not the answer. So I'm going to hit tab. I'm not going to go up. I'm going to keep this on here because that is the answer. They have the same x-intercept. I'm going to type in 2x plus 5. So do you see how this one crosses the x-axis over here? And that is not where the original was crossing. And so to be the answer, it has to cross at the x-axis at the same spot. They have to have the same x-intercept. So I hope that makes sense. And so this answer right here is going to be A because they have the same x-intercept. If for some reason you don't know what an x-intercept is, you need to watch the video on attributes because that will really go into depth on what an x-intercept is.